Welcome back to the ETF Inspector. It's Thursday, October 23rd, a little after 8:30 at night, and this is our daily recap video for our YieldMax weekly paying funds, ULTY, the Ultra Option Income Strategy Fund, LFGY, the Crypto Industry Option Income Fund, and a little bit of coverage on SLTY, the Ultra Short Option Income Fund. Quick little highlight, we are getting very close to that 5,000 subscriber mark, so if you're watching and you haven't clicked subscribe, please do so. Click on the subscribe and the notification. Throw a like on the bottom of the video if you don't mind too, to help the channel out. On X, I'm at ETF_Inspector1, a little over 1,600 followers on that one. So follow me for all things related to all the videos I make and the ETFs that I cover or talk about. All right, we had a very nice bounce from yesterday's market today. Big picture, ULTY up over 1%, LFGY up over 2%, and well, SLTY, if you're shorting the market on a day like that, you're down 1.79%. We'll look at the individuals within the funds from our spreadsheet, starting with ULTY. Okay, we'll start with trades first. No shares bought or sold, nothing closed out or added to the fund. So all it is the option trades. It's Thursday, so this is where we really start rolling most of our stuff the next week. That's the case for a firm, but it's only a partial, not all the contracts. Closing and rolling the next week ended up costing $516,000 on the roll. Bitmine Immersion brought in $1 million rolling to next week. That's a complete closeout. Anything in orange that symbolizes under construction matches up on the other page with what we don't need to talk about because it's been closed out. Cipher Mining brought in over $6 million closing and rolling the next week. A lot of that is thanks to those protective puts, only paying 4 and 6 cents to close out the sold calls, collecting $2 to $2.50, selling those protective puts. There's $5 million right there. And then we generate income selling the collar strategy and buying the collar strategy for next week. CNC, that's Centene Corp. This is a put spread. We're rolling it to next week. Unfortunately, selling put spreads when the market had such a bad run cost us $550,000 on the closeout. CoreWeave brought in just about $3.4 million closing and rolling the next week. Again, what we're going to see a whole lot of is the protective puts more than cover all the expense to close out the calls, plus put a little profit in the pocket, along with putting more money in when we sell the new calls. We got to use some of that money, though, to buy our protective puts, our insurance plan for the next week. Hims and Hers rolling the next week brought in about $2.4 million. Robinhood cost us $2.6 million on the roll. As you can see, it cost $5.66 to close out those calls, and we were only able to get $3.06 for the new ones. And of course, we got to use some of that money to pay for protection. Iron brought in $7.3 million. Again, look, closing out for about $198,000 on the calls, bringing in over $6 million with those protective puts. They're offsetting the drop in the share price. Lucid, this is a partial close and roll, not all of it, but it brought in almost $3 million. MP Material Corp brought in almost $7.5 million closing and rolling the next week. Look at that. Those puts were worth $6.4 million when we sold them. Strategy, $667,000 credit on that close and roll. Again, getting a nice chunk for our puts and not paying much to close out the calls. And we only really had to drop the strike price on next week's calls by $5. They've started selling puts to help pay for the puts as well, so that helps offset some of that cost. On the other side, it also limits your downside protection, but I don't know. If MSTR drops below 220, they're having a bad day, bad week. QUBT, quantum computing, $4.5 million credit on the close and roll to next week. Rigetti, $9.5 million rolling the next week. There it is. Look, it's all coming from those protective puts. Rocket Companies, not Rocket Lab, cost $1.7 million to close and roll. Basically, just about broke even on the closing this week's calls and selling next week's, but we had to come up with money to pay for the protective puts for next week. That's where the majority of the negative came from. New Scale Power, $34 million. There's your protective puts at work right there. That's insane. So closing out for a very small chunk of money and bringing in tons. So that helps offset all the drop that New Scale Power has had. SoundHound AI, $5.6 million credit on the roll to next week. And Upstart cost $2.2 million to roll to next week. So all in all, they made $77, almost $78 million in options trading today. Positive every day of the week so far. Absolutely brought in more than enough to pay the distribution. So they'd have to really lose a decent chunk tomorrow to throw that off. Now, this is just the options trading. It doesn't take into account buying and selling of shares. So before I make my estimate, I will go back and try to come up with some numbers and take a look. I think, though, that a lot of the things that they trimmed, they were taking profits. So got a good chance of being 0% ROC for this week, but the week's not over yet. So we will see for that. That's going to go along with also, you usually don't see that. If your share values jump by 85 million, you're usually losing money having to pay to close out options. But since we dropped so much this week, we can win the trades and have a good day all at the same time. All right, when we flip the page here, we're on the holdings now. Take a look at how each individual performed. Now, I feel like this used to fit in the screen, and now we're like chopping off the side. It's driving me nuts. Maybe I made one of the look, this one doesn't need to be so wide. That's what it was. I made this wider, and I forgot to mention this. So, all right, it's not going to work. Let's see. This may not be perfect, but all right. So it looks like the upside move in all the shares today was 3.8%, where ULTY only moved up 1.01%. A lot of that's going to have to do with everything moving up in a big way is going to increase the cost to close out the calls. Now, time value will work in our favor if they are still out of the money, and we will achieve more of that percentage tomorrow so long as they don't go into the money. But even that shouldn't, oops. All right, so I don't know why it's not working. There we go. Now everything fits in the page. All right, Affirm was up over 5%, taking their calls in the money. We saw them close out a portion, but not all of them. 75s are still in play for tomorrow, 0.7% in the money. Bitmine was up 2.4%, further out of the money. Calls were rolled. They still have 50s to close tomorrow, 1.6% out. 42 million in cash, 417 million in First American Government obligation funds. Cipher Mining up 7.1%, still way out of the money. Everything closed and rolled for a win. Centene Corp closed in the money, so that one was ugly, but it did get rolled. Coinbase up 0.75%. Calls are still out of the money at 327.50 and 342.50, 1.5% and 6% out. Sold puts are also 16% out. CoreWeave was up 1.5%. Everything got closed for a win. Something's not right there. Oh, no. Okay, I got confused. I saw options for Galaxy, but no shares. But this is one of the put spreads. So no action taken on Galaxy. These expire tomorrow. 3750s sold are still 2.8% out. Hims and Hers up 2.1%. Let's see, the further out of the money positions were rolled. They've still got $49 calls to close tomorrow, 1% out, and $42 puts, 13% out to close that are sold. Obviously, they got to close the purchased puts as well, but those bring in income and are currently tracking to basically cover the cost to close out the calls. Robinhood increased by over 5.5%. They did roll the in the money ones and have to pay for that. We do still have 140s to close tomorrow to make a profit on, but it's 4% out of the money. Iron was up 7.7%. Everything rolled. Lucid Group up 0.8%. 21s to close tomorrow are 12.6 out. We'll be closing that for a win. Lululemon still just barely in the money on that sold put spread. 180s are 0.5% in the money. They've already been rolled till next week though, so no action needs to be taken. MP Materials Corp down, the big loser today, down 1.9%. They rolled what was left for this week as a winner. They do have 72s already out for next week, 5% out. Strategy was up almost 1.5%. Took the win on the further out of the money positions. 292.50 still in play, 2.6% out of the money. Palantir was up 2.8%, taking their 177.50s in the money by 1.6 and leaving their 185s out of the money by 2.5%. That has to all get closed tomorrow, evenly split between those two contract strikes. Quantum was up over 7%. We get to capture all of it. I mean, I haven't been mentioning it up there, but all these that moved up big and still stayed out of the money, we get to capture all that upward move. That's beautiful. 1750s are still in play, just about 10% out. $15 puts are also still in play, 5.9% out of the money. Rigetti was the big winner today, up over 9.8%, we'll say. A lot was closed and rolled. Got to capture all of it because they're still way out of the money. 47s still have a handful in play. Let's see, they closed out 10,000 of them, so there's still 11,265. Yep, and there's the puts to go with them. And those puts are in the money, so they're going to bring in a ton of money as well. Rocket Lab up 5%, just about. Took their 62s in the money and left their 67s out by 5.4, along with their sold puts at 52 and 53 way out, 16 to 18%. That'll all get rolled tomorrow. 4 wins. Rocket Companies up 1.5%. This was one where a portion, but not all of them, got rolled, so there's still 17s in play, 3.5% in the money. NewScale Power was up over 8%. Again, got to capture all of that. Took the win on these. They cost pennies to close out. Still got 46s to close tomorrow. That'll be another win. They're 22.5% out. And the protective puts, or the sold puts, are 4% out of the money. So that move worked out good. Now we're not going to have to pay to close those out. At the start of the day we were. And we're going to bring in a lot more income when we sell those protective puts. SoundHound AI up 2.7%. Everything rolled. Symbotic up 5.3%. Still out of the money on those 69s and 71s. 1.6 and 4.6% out of the money. Puts that were sold at 55 and 57 are way out, 16 to 19%. All that's going to get rolled tomorrow. So long as those don't run into the money, it'll still be a nice big chunk of profit on that. And Upstart up 3.4%. They did close and roll the in the money calls. They still have 54s to roll tomorrow that are out by 3.6%. And that's how we had a roughly $86 million increase in the values of our shares. We started the day with an assets under management of $2.7 billion. A lot of people got cold feet and sold out of the fund yesterday. 29 million shares dropped off the outstanding shares. 564,675,000 is what's left. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw people buy right back in today. People sell when it goes down and buy when it goes up. But NAV at the start of the day, 494. We did receive our 9.03 cents per share today, and ULTY closed around 498. Our calls, we can't really look at this anymore because a lot of these have been closed out. All right, so that is everything for ULTY. There was a lot for sure. We'll get to LFGY next. Again, trading wise, no shares were traded. This is just closing and rolling of our calls and call spreads. They don't trade a collar strategy over here on LFGY. I wish they did, but so the closeout and roll for BitDeer brought in 229,000. Clean Sparks roll brought in 282. All this is getting rolled the next week. Circle Internet Group brought in 91,000. These are all complete rolls. MBTX, this is only partial, but it brought in 113,000. Strategy brought in $172,000, and NU Holdings actually cost $409,000 to roll to next week, resulting in a $479,000 profit on the options trading day. Again, making profits every day on their options trading, but of course, a lot of it had to do with drops. They're still overall in the negative as far as share values declining for the week, but they did make a nice bounce today, increasing by 6.3 million in value. When we take a look at the holdings in LFGY, Bitmine Immersion was up 2.4%. Their calls at 52 are 5.7% out. BitDeer Technology up 1.4. What was left for this week got rolled. They've got 22s for next week, 1.2% out. Cash, there's 2.4 million. Government obligation funds, 542. So just about $3 million on the sidelines. Not a lot. Clean Spark, and realistically, that probably lines up with the money needed to cover the MBTX call spreads that don't have any shares. Lost track of where it was. Clean Spark up 4.8, closed what was left for this week. Still have 18s in play next week, 1.8% out. Coinbase up 3/4, still 6% out on those 342.50s. Core Scientific up 1.5% almost, 22.50s, and for this week are just about 25% out of the money. 21s for next week are 16+% out. Circle Internet Group up 4%, still took the win, closing those out. iShares Ethereum Trust up 1.5%. 31s are still 6+% out of the money. Galaxy Digital up 3.3%. Still another 8.8 to go on 42s, but they've already been rolled to next week. Don't know why I just jumped. GameStop was up over 5%, taking their calls in the money. No action was taken. It's not terrible. We could live with it ending 13 cents in the money, 0.5%. They've also got 23s for next week that are 2.6% in the money, but they're really not that important. 100 contracts compared to 2,500. Robinhood up over 5.5%, took their 132s into the money by 1.7. Hut 8 Corp was up 4.6%, just about perfect. 41s are still 0.89% out. iShares Bitcoin Trust ETF IBIT was up 2.2%. There's no options, so we just get the increase in market value. Mara was up 0.3%. $20 calls are 4% out of the money. MBTX went up today. They've got a call spread expiring tomorrow at 270. A portion, 318 of these contracts were rolled, so there's still the remainder, 3.5% out. They've got 265s sold on a call spread for next week, 1.6% out, and 255 puts purchased to make money expiring the end of the year. They're 2% out. Mercado Libre was up 2.5%, taking their 21.15s into the money by 1.5%. They expire tomorrow. Strategy, yeah, so they're going to cost a ton to close out if they end that way. As you can see, they are currently $33.32 in the money. So even if they got waited till the end of the day, they'd cost 30 something dollars to close out. Strategy up almost 1.5%. Everything rolled. NU holding for a win. NU Holdings up 4.8%. They were already in the money and went deeper. Everything rolled and cost us. Nvidia up 1%, just about perfect. 182.50s are 34 cents out of the money with 1 day to go. Opera, the big loser. Like to see that. The big loser is down 1/3%. $18 calls expiring November 21st are 16% out of the money. PayPal was up 2.3%, ending pretty close to perfect. 70s are 0.5% out. Riot Platforms trying to get even closer than that. Big winner today, up 7.9%. 2050s are 1 penny out of the money, and 21s are 2.5% out. Block was up almost 3.5%, taking their 77s into the money by just about 2%. No action taken. They'll roll it tomorrow. So that's how we had a $6 million increase in the value of the shares within the fund. Assets under management, $218 million at the start of the day. People buying into LFG yesterday, including me. I did too. 275,000 new shares got added to the outstanding shares, bringing it up to 6,325,000. NAV at the start of the day, 34.53. Share price increased to 35.32 by the end, and we all got our 57.85 cents per share today. All right, last but not least, I say that every time. Last and least, we don't care that much about SLTY, but we do like to keep track of what they are shorting to have an idea. If your favorite stock shows up on the short list, it might make you think twice about it. But big picture, we'll just do a very quick overview of SLTY. They closed out their shorted shares on Tesla, so they're no longer shorting Tesla. They started shorting Carvana and Advanced Auto Parts, so we're attacking the auto industry from the repair side and the sales side. Overall, they brought in $75,000 on their options trading. Their share values dropped by $387,000 based on moves up and down. Put prices we've already talked about throughout the week, so we're not going to hit it every day. And we've already talked about what they short. I also put it on the thumbnail, so we just said it. The only change was Tesla's no longer being shorted, and Carvana and Advanced Auto Parts are new to be shorted. Assets under management, $17.7 million, 450,000 outstanding shares. NAV started at $39.44 before dropping to $39.04. And if you have SLTY, you received your 62.62 cents per share distribution today. All right, that was a lot. Got through it quick. Sorry it's so late. Man, yeah, finishing recording, and there's really long time for the uploads today, so apologize for that. And I got a dad joke for you. It's the same one as in the previous video, so sorry, the calendar only gives me one a day, but thank you for all the support, likes, shares, and comments, mentions, everything like that, and the feedback. Like if people have given me ideas on how to improve the videos, so I like that. All right, dad joke of the day. What runs around a baseball field but never moves? A fence. Like I said in the last video, it's more of a riddle than a joke. Doesn't make anybody laugh on that one. But all right, good luck trading tomorrow. Don't forget it's Friday, so if you've got options open, you might need to close them or roll them. And I'll catch you in the next video.